Well, we're so glad that you're here. And it has been a very stressful 16, 18 months. And if you feel like you're struggling emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially, in so many ways, well, that's exactly what we're going to be speaking to today. Neely Hicks is here to talk about a very exciting session that's coming up October 14th. Neely, we're so glad that you're here.
Thank you so much, Suzanne, for having me today. I'm really looking forward to chatting about this.
Neely, just seeing that it's this 2-hour session that's happening October 14th, would you share about what it is that's going on and what prompted it?
Yeah, so it's called Triumph Over Trauma. And I think that that's what all of us
Mm,
want to do in life, right? When those
absolutely.
traumas happen to us, no matter what kind of trauma or when it happened,
Mhm.
we all want to triumph over it and still live our best lives and keep
Yeah.
our best self forward. So, anyway, yeah, this started for me when I worked in the East Democratic Republic of the Congo, and women there were struggling based on societal issues there. And we were building a women's center, and I started thinking, I can't build women's centers everywhere,
Right.
but what if I could find a model that could be used in any building anywhere? And
Mm.
so I started looking for that. And I found a model, actually, a couple of models that help people recover from the trauma that they've experienced.
And the traumas in Africa might be different than the traumas in America, but it sounds like this event that you're putting on answers to everything that we may be going through.
It really does. I mean, what I've learned over my time in ministry is that human beings are human beings. And
Mhm.
we all have similar existential problems. We have the same set of emotions. We're born that way. And when something happens that makes us feel not so great about ourselves, I've learned that our bodies actually hold that trauma. And if we don't deal with it effectively, it can really change the outcomes in our lives.
Yeah, I mean, trauma and stress. How many times do you hear that someone's gone through something traumatic and then, a few months later, cancer comes up or something
Mhm.
physical? I mean, so it's so much more than just feeling good. It can manifest into some really awful things. What is happening on the 14th of October?
So, we're going to have a 2 hour session that's an overview of this two pieces of curriculum that are provided by the National Association of State Mental Health Providers and their Center for Innovations in Health Policy and Practice. These are two models that are being used through institutions throughout the United States, whether it's prisons in women's wellness programs or men's prisons, or through DCS, the Department of Children's Services. These two models help people learn how to cope better and what's actually going on in our bodies when we experience trauma.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we've got three medical experts who are amazing, and you can read about them on harperhill.global. You can see it on our homepage, and there's a Meet the Speakers page, and you can see all about the things that they've done in their past and what they're doing now to help other people. My goal has been to get these two models into churches
Mm,
because as I look around the US, I think we are a nation of churches. We've got churches on every corner. And yet, look at us. We're a nation who has the highest number of incarcerated people in the world.
wow.
We're a nation that has more gun violence. We have so many gifts and so many blessings, and yet there's all of these terrible things that continue to happen.
Yeah.
Well, I started thinking that if the churches and what if the mosque and the temples and synagogues had a program that they could run that would help not only their congregants, but also the people within their whole community, this whole country could change. We would be a nation of light if we could deal more effectively with the trauma that's impacting us now and that may have been affecting even our ancestors for generations.
It makes such sense what you're talking about, because as a person who goes to church, if I have something that I feel like I need to talk to the pastor about, or the elders, there's only so many people that can reach out to help. But if you've got a system in place, it's almost limitless of how many people can be helped if you've got a program going.
You're so right. Because
Yeah.
if you think about it, look at Alcoholics Anonymous and their
Hmm.
model.
Hmm.
The pastor is not running that group, but the pastor may open the church to
Yeah.
that group,
Yeah.
or Narcotics Anonymous, or Adult Children of Alcoholics. There's all kinds of 12-step programs that are out there. But what I'm learning is that when we turn to addiction,
Mm.
often that is rooted in something that's happened in our lives that we're not dealing effectively with. And it is actually a symptom of something much deeper going on inside. And
Mm.
so this training is meant to really look at the roots of trauma and then learn how to move through them in healthy ways.
So someone who's watching this says trauma. I mean, we all have a different idea. To me, trauma, oh my gosh, well, I haven't ever been in a car accident, or I haven't ever had a sibling that's decided to end their life or anything like that. How are some of the things that you're talking about trauma? What would come under the roof that we go, oh yeah, I am included in this. She
Mhm.
is talking about me.
Yeah, well, I mean, security is a basic human need. We need to feel secure. As children, did you have enough food in your home when you were
Mhm.
growing up? Did you have an abusive parent? Did you have alcoholism within your family? Did you ever experience violence, whether it was by
Wow.
your parents, your siblings, or maybe something within your school that happened? These things are called adverse childhood experiences. And there's actually a test that you can take. And your ACE, or Adverse Childhood Experience score, often is related to actually the development of our brains. It's kind of
Wow.
strange to think about, but science and research have shown how brains form based on having those basic secure systems in place. And when they're not in place, and when you have multiple adverse childhood experiences, your brain is almost like you've had a stroke. It starts kind of short circuiting, and in ways that may produce more adrenaline and produce more fear, more reactivity, more defensiveness, more anger. And those things take a toll on our hearts. We know that people have heart attacks because we think about it coming from stress, but it may be the long term stress. And so these are some of the things that I've been learning about since we did a conference in Tanzania in 2018. And I learned from two nurses during that time who were studying this and implementing some of these, integrating some of these practices into their nursing care in a children's hospital and also for adult care, and looking at the whole person and not just the physical symptoms. What is causing the pain to manifest itself in this particular way? Um, One recent research that I looked at showed that people who have, um, I think it may be like 4 or more adverse childhood experiences, are 11 times more likely to get Alzheimer's.
Wow. Wow. So that could be a death of a parent. That could be failure of a grade. It could be a serious medical issue. And it could be your parents having had terrible financial problems. Boom. I just rattled four really typical things right off the top.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It is, if you just think about the rush that you get with adrenaline when something bad has happened.
Hmm.
Think about that if you're living and reliving that stress in your mind over and over again, and your body is reacting with that adrenaline.
Yeah.
You're always on that state of high alert and never able to be fully present in the moment to experience what is reality. And I think, I see this vision of a new day where we are living with one another differently, and we're able to actually see this is the effect that has come from these experiences, and we start to understand one another better and then help one another move through it. I think that the world would be so different if we did
Yeah.
this.
And you just brought up a really good point. If we look at what other people have gone through, maybe we're going to attend this conference, this 2-hour session, maybe not so much even for ourselves, but a couple people have come to my mind, and they might not want to jump on. There might be some pride or feeling like I'm fine. But if we get on and find out for them and we care for them and then maybe share what we learn gently over time, I mean, maybe it's just not for us, but someone who's in our life.
Exactly. And that's what this training is about. I mean, it will impact us in the way that we look at our inner life and how it may have impacted our decision making, the way we've lived our lives, and the outcomes that we've had thus far. But it's also great because it allows us to see each other differently and to
Mhm.
help each other along the path. I think that especially people within churches, mosques, synagogues, temples, people who are caring for other people would benefit from this conference,
Mm,
because instead of just looking at one aspect of people, and why is somebody always being a problem? Why is that person always upset? Why is that person always finding something to be angry about? Maybe
mhm,
we can start to understand better. And then as we understand, we, for one, can forgive more, and
mm,
we can also then help lead one another to water. Um,
mm.
yeah,
I think about living your best life. You've said that a couple times. And I think it paints a different picture for all of us. But living a great and your best life includes happiness, joy, lack of stress, friendship, feeling loved, feeling secure. And I think if maybe we've gone through this trauma, we've put up walls and almost said, I don't deserve that, or that's not normal. We don't even know what a normal living your best life looks like.
hmm, that's so right. And we've placed false limits on ourselves
Mhm.
when God is saying, look, I've offered you the whole world. Like, look all around you, move through what happened into what can be.
Um,
And but it's like we can have blinders on, and maybe it
mhm,
is that our brains are just not functioning at the highest level because it's been kind of wired to circumvent things that may, I think we, at times when we're caught in trauma, we just do the next thing just to get through just this.
yeah,
And maybe it's like, when you only use so much of a hard drive space
yeah,
sometimes, or when you use only so much of a battery, and then the life of the battery is shot because you've
yeah.
only used, I
You
guess,
never maxed it
15
out,
minutes. You
right.
never max
Mhm.
it out.
Yeah.
And I think it might be kind of like that for our brains, that
Mm,
we've become so blinded to all the other space and power that's available, and we're just
mhm.
limiting ourselves.
Yeah, we're constantly on low battery, you know?
Yeah.
Neely, let's get into the details about how we can participate in the conference, how much if there's a charge, and are there replays on it, and how does all that work?
Yeah. So you register at harperhill.global, and we just ask for a donation of $25,
Mhm.
and you'll get a link to the Zoom conference. And so it'll be live. We'll have people from different countries participate with us. You'll be able to listen to the speakers and dialogue with them and one another. After the conference, you'll get a full recording of the whole conference. For those who can't attend, you can still register on harperhill.global and receive a complimentary copy of the full training itself on on YouTube. So,
Wow.
but we're just starting with this, and we hope to have many more conferences that are like this, lunchtime conferences that will take us deeper. But
Mm.
this first episode is going to help you understand trauma a little bit better, its impact on our bodies, and then the two models that are available that can help you find help wherever you are.
Mm. I love this. I'm looking forward to it. Do you have any final thoughts before we sign off?
Yeah, I just, I want everybody to live their best life. I think that people suffer way too much, and this last year and a half have especially been difficult. The world's never seen a pandemic like this to this proportion, and I think that people are suffering from a myriad of different things. But it's time that we triumph over trauma, that we recognize it for what it is, and find the tools to help us live our best lives.
Neely, thank you so much. Thanks for having the conference on, and we hope that it's wildly successful, and we'll see you for many more after that.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Suzanne.